Why are we a society that is so consumed by materialism and consumerism? And why is it that we think that keeping up with the Joneses is something that's important? Today, I wanted to talk about this. And as I was driving around today, looking at the homes and the vehicles, it just got me thinking about how we've become a society that is so materialistic. And when I come and do my videos, I'm coming to you all from a place of learning, because I am not perfect. And in most cases, I'm talking about things that I've learned lessons from myself. I am in no way perfect, and most of my videos are about things that I've learned from my own mistakes. So I'm here talking about this, and I look around at some of these homes, these $1 million homes. Everyone has a brand new vehicle, and I just think what a waste it is. Now, I mean, if you have the financial means that you can afford that lifestyle, then good for you. But if you are going into massive debt to maintain a lifestyle that's not really accurate, it's not worth it. And for us, we've been in the same home for 20 years. And many times we could have moved into a bigger home, but we chose not to because there's no need to. We don't need to impress anyone. We don't need to show anyone that we're something that maybe we're not. And, our home is a decent size and we're quite happy with it. And my thought was always that, whatever extra money that we had, we were going to use that for experiences. We wanted to take our kids on trips. We wanted to take them out for nice dinners. We wanted them to have, the opportunity to go into different, sports or activities. But there's so many people out there that are completely mortgage and vehicle broke. And I get it. And I think that this has been going on for decades, this keeping up with the Joneses. I'm sure in the 40s and the 50s, 60s, 70s, all of those decades that people were living similar lives where, they were just trying to keep up. And I'm not sure why, but I have some thoughts about it.
I think that over the decades, this has always existed, this keeping up with the Joneses. But over the years, there's just been more and more for people to have. Bigger and better homes, bigger and better cars, better toys. And with the introduction of social media, now everyone sees what you have. And then this competition has started.
We've become a society that thinks our value is based on the things that we have. And that's not the case. Our value is on what we put out into the world, what we do as humans. So we really need to shift this mentality somehow. And I can't believe when I drive around and I see these homes. I really can't. I think how broke these people must be and how miserable they must be because living this lifestyle, if you can't actually afford it, it's craziness.
Our home is our biggest investment, but if we're not planning on ever selling it, what's the point in having these giant homes? And here in Canada, it's not that easy to just sell a home. Our mortgages are locked in for a certain period of time. If you break the mortgage, you pay a penalty. There's obviously real estate fees. There's a lot involved in selling a property. I'm not sure what it's like in the US as far as mortgage payments and rates, but it's quite complicated here.
The thing is that you're going to get to a certain point in your life and then you're going to start scrambling thinking you need to unload all of this debt. And I think so many people, they're just, compounding the debt and they're adding it to their mortgage and it just never ends. The cycle never ends. But at one point, you need to take a look at, your spending habits. You need to take a look at what's a priority for you and start getting rid of some of that debt. And again, I just want to say, we're not perfect at all. We've learned from a lot of our mistakes. And that's why I'm here sharing my thoughts in these videos because, the younger generation needs to learn from someone or even someone that's our age, midlife, Gen Xers, because we have a lot of years in and made a lot of mistakes. And I'm happy to share that with anyone that's willing to listen. I think that people just want to belong. They want to be part of something. They want to, whether it's just a group, a neighborhood, an economic class, people want to belong. And by having all of these things, there's this feeling that maybe you finally do belong and that you've made it. But, now at this age, I'm 54 and I'm getting close to retirement. I would say probably in the last 10 years, that's when I really started to wake up and say to myself, all of this stuff really isn't important. You don't need all of these things. But I know that social media is the culprit in pretty much every problem that's happening in the world, because we see so much of what everyone else has. And then we get this feeling that we're missing out, that we don't have what they have, that, they're somehow ahead of us. And like, all of that is really not important. What's important is what you do with your life, what you do with your family, the experiences that you have. It's not about stuff. And now at this point in my life, retirement is right around the corner. We've got kids in university. I'm glad that we didn't, make the move into a bigger home and, spend money on stupid things that we didn't need. Mind you, we did. Trust me, we did. But we really started to think about, our finances and, okay, how are we going to manage all of this, and also predicting retirement. And we're both lucky that we do have work pensions, but our kids are old. We had our kids later in life, so our kids are still in university, and, I'm on the tail end of work, same with my husband, but we still have all of these expenses to cover. And we were of the mindset that we didn't want to, whatever extra money that we had, as I said, we put it into experiences, trips, taking the kids places, and we didn't pay down our mortgage. So our biggest expense when we retire will be the mortgage. We will still have a mortgage, but we did make a point of, having all of our vehicles paid for and not carrying a whole lot of debt. And then that's our mission basically from this point on, is to get any debt that we have paid off, because, retiring with a mortgage is bad enough. And as I said, when I look around and I see these homes, these $1 million homes, and everyone has to have a fancy car, and it's, 2 cars or 3 cars. People are living with such high debt. And, when you're mortgage broke and you're going from one debt payment to the next, like, you're not actually living. I mean, you're better off to just live in a modest home and then still have extra money to be able to do all of the fun things that you want to do. But society, for some reason, is just a bit messed up. So that's what I wanted to talk about. See what your thoughts are. If you've prioritized, activities and doing things rather than having things. And what your thought is on how this has happened and why this happens, that society has become like this. I'm curious what you have to say in the comments. But so just another unscripted video today. And since I was out, I wanted to show you this beautiful Canadian winter snow. But let me know your thoughts on the video, your thoughts on the topic. I'm happy to hear from anyone in the comments. Always be kind. And until next time, bye for now.